Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for August 23rd. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and I'm here today to update you on everything that happened yesterday in the Big Brother 27 live feeds. It was day 46 in the house, and it was a day of nominations and a day of a bunch of talking.
So much talking.
But with me to talk about it all is Mari. How you doing, Mari?
Hi, Taran. Yes, I thought I talked too much. These house guests talk too much. But we're here to recap it. It was a whole lot of nothing, but it still was good.
Yes. The thing is, with Vince as the HOH, basically nothing he says matters because he's just always lying. So very few of the conversations really matter.
Exactly. I was like, okay, so this is this Vinny, this is this Vinny. It was cute to see the many faces of Vinny, but I was just like, I don't know what's happening. We'll see what happens after the veto, I guess.
We will indeed. All right. So, as you know, Riley was evicted and Vince became the new HOH up on the wall. He talked the night before with Morgan about potential nominees being something along the lines of Mickey, Ava, Catherine, Kelly, with some potential other people being Ashley and Rachel. The people he did not want to touch were Morgan herself, Will, Keanu, or, of course, Lauren. So those were the people he was sort of keeping in mind according to what he told Morgan, who did seem to be the person he was most honest with throughout
Yes.
the day, I guess. But of course, even that you have to take with a grain of salt. Vince is going to conduct his one-on-ones in the morning of day 46, I should say, and it's really so. There's two major things he's doing. One is that he's explaining the Riley vote, which we will get to. The
Oof.
other is he is even right before the nominations are going to happen, still just telling people what they want to hear. Yeah, I'm not going to put you up, or yeah, I'm going to put up Ashley or Rachel or Catherine or Lauren or not Lauren or, he's just telling people what they want to hear, despite the fact
Yeah.
that he's about to not do that.
Yeah, it was so interesting. It's like, yes, we've been asking for like HOH one-on-ones, but then it's also like this isn't giving us any type of clarity. He's just still saying what he wants to say. We're trying to infer what he might do from his different variations of his stories from the different people. And I'm just like, I think I know what he's gonna do, but I won't know until it happens. So it was kind of cool though to actually see people get in there, and I like one-on-ones. I do like HOH one-on-ones because I want to see the interactions between the HOH and the person, even if the HOH himself is just a mirror who lies. I do like to see that. So I was like really watching, but if I was trying to glean any information from it, I just stopped. I just wanted to see, I guess I wanted to see his impression on the other people. Like I wanted to see what the other people would come away from that thinking, not what he would come away from them, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. And maybe I should not say that phrase either.
It's well, there's this. So Vince, as we all know, is a fairly timid player and does not like uncertainty. And when he dealt with the vote last week, it was, I'm going to promise everyone the world until the very last moment when I know exactly what's going to happen, which made some sense because you didn't know what was going to happen with the blockbuster. I think he's doing something similar with his nominations when it comes to like what might happen with the veto, which we'll get to, promising certain things will happen. But I think this is also like infected just his own actual decisions, where he's like,
Mhm.
he's still playing his options with his own decision that he has full control over. He's like, well, I'm going to tell Catherine that I plan to nominate Ashley right up until the moment I don't, just in case I decide that I will.
Hedging his bets, even if it's something he can control.
Right. It's a very strange method, but this
Sure.
we're talking about. Um, so so Vince goes through his one-on-ones. Now I need to tell you about his explanation for the Riley vote.
Oh, yeah.
Because it reminded me of a sketch I watched online once where it was like a Rooster Teeth sketch, live action sketch, and it was just like Bernie Burns slowly reaching for a trapdoor button while Joel Heyman was like, "Are you about to hit the trapdoor button?" And Bernie was like, "What? No." It's like, I can see you pressing the buttons right there. You're reaching over toward it. This is not a trapdoor button. I swear to you. I see you smiling about how you're lying to me. This is Vince in these conversations. He's talking to Catherine and he says, so here's what happened, okay? Basically, I just really got manipulated by Rachel and Mickey because they came up with this lie about how Mickey was going to vote to keep Riley. And I thought, oh, that means that Riley has the votes. And they were like, oh, and Morgan's never going to be friends with you outside of the house if you don't vote for her. So maybe you should have a sympathy vote for Morgan. And I was like, oh man, maybe I should cast a sympathy vote for Morgan. And then I did. And then it was like 5-4, Catherine, 5-4, Morgan, you've been evicted. But it wasn't Morgan, you've been evicted. It was Morgan, you are safe. And I was like, oh my God, they tricked me. Geez. Oh man, I feel so bad about it. They're such manipulators, and I guarantee you they're downstairs laughing at me right now. Everyone thinks I'm an idiot. And Catherine is literally just like, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, you're HOH right now, so I need
Exactly.
to believe you, but okay, sure.
Exactly. And that's what killed me. Like, Taryn, you always say, like, if a vote gets messed up, if you're the HOH the next week, it's fine. It doesn't matter. Don't address it. He should not have brought it up at all. He should have just he should have just been like, I'm sorry that Riley went home. I don't know why he made up this whole ridiculous story about a sympathy vote and that Ava and Mickey flipped their. It was ridiculous. It was the most ridiculous story I've ever heard in my life. And of course, naturally, Kelly and Keanu believed it.
Yeah. Catherine talks to Kelly afterward and is like, Kelly, we have to believe it. He is HOH. Who knows what Kelly actually believes?
Right.
Keanu seems, I mean, here's the thing. Keanu believed it before he was even told the story.
Exactly.
Before he was even told the story, Keanu was like, how did she do it, bro? How did she finesse you? And Vince just filled in the blanks. And he's like, oh, God, Rachel. She's, and Keanu's just so pissed. He's like, man, she tricked you so bad, bro. It's just like, we've talked about it all season. But it's so like, this is such a perfect example of somebody who has just an intense bias toward and against certain people of a certain gender when it comes to who he believes and respects. And it is so intense that it is so or I guess what I should say is that it's not like it doesn't have to be intense, right? It doesn't have to be like this
Right.
deep rooted, intense thing. It is just a thing that exists. And it's not necessarily something that would often, I would say, poke its head up, like all the time. You can have a perfectly fine interaction with Keanu. But when it comes to who does he believe, who does he respect, it's going to come up in small ways. And in the Big Brother house, those small things really build up. And it shows just how much these small things can really make big impacts, because it is truly past the point of credulity. Like, it is ridiculous how much the guy, because other people I've seen around the internet a little bit, like, oh well, maybe if Rachel handled it a little better, maybe this is just Vince, right? This is not Vince. This is not even Rachel, because it's not just Vince that Keanu has believed over other women. It is Zay. It is Zach. It is Adrian. It is Jimmy. It is literally every other man in the house. And
Riley.
then the people he does not believe, people like Kelly, who he does want to work with right now, but has been very fine to be, Kelly's the one that did this. Morgan, Mickey, Rachel, Ava, he doesn't believe. Ashley. There's such a clear distinction. And it truly, again, breaks continuity in reality for him to believe what he seems to believe. It is utterly ridiculous.
And it's so funny that he is one of 3 men stuck in a house dominated by women, because, I mean, at a certain point, he's just gonna have to stop believing his eyes and ears if he doesn't believe any of the people that are still left in the house, because he is just creating this bubble in his head of his perception. And it's even funny that, like, him realizing that Rachel is a good player just because she got one over on him. And it's like, this woman won the show. Like, that wasn't confirmation enough for you that she was a good player? No. Oh, it's that she tricked you. Not once, not twice. She actually has gotten him a few times at this point, but this was the most blatant, like, it's been like the most blatant in your face, like, she really outdid him uh her HOH week, and his ego is just fractured about it. So much so that it, like, I still don't even know. It sounded like initially like he wanted her gone, but now maybe you can shed some light on it for me, Taran. Like, they had a 3-hour talk, and I still don't know where he's at with her. Like, I don't know if he wants her gone.
I think he wants her gone.
Okay. Like, it's so interesting. Their dynamic is just so back and forth all the time.
I think the way that I'm reading it is that he was really enjoying working with her and hanging out with her when he thought that she was an idiot and that he was much smarter than her and that he was placating her. And the idea that she managed to get one over on him has now put him into a spiral, and he no longer wants to work with her.
That makes sense.
Which, again, like, is not to say, like, when I say these things, it's not like these kinds of biases that are clearly influencing the way, like, very clearly influencing the way the man is thinking, does not mean that he's like a raging misogynist who will never vote for a woman in the end or anything like that. I think he could vote for Rachel in the final 2. It's just, it impacts certain things, and this is the thing it's impacting for Keanu in a fairly significant way in this house.
Yeah. And sorry, can I just add, it's almost like he really liked working with her when he thought that she had nobody, like when she was a like a damsel in distress, a princess, a fallen queen that needed saving, and he was her only hope, her only knight in shining armor. And now that she actually used her HOH effectively to come out with a pretty strong base, like, he's like, oh well, now he is threatened by her and no longer wants to save and protect her. So again, like you said, ways that misogyny show itself in unconscious ways.
So that's really what Keanu is up to throughout the day. But here in the morning, he is definitely pushing hard for nominations that include Rachel and Ashley, and that don't include Kelly. He wants to avoid putting Kelly. Same sort of thing he was pushing to Rachel the week before. Only this time it's about Rachel. You can't miss this shot. We can't miss this shot. It's gotta be Mickey or Rachel. It's gotta be one of them. And now the thing is, I do believe that Vince feels the same way, that it needs to be one of Mickey or Rachel that leaves this week. However, he's more okay with missing the shot than Keanu is, because he has some backups to fall back on, which is, if I quote unquote miss the shot at Rachel, meaning I never have to take it, then I've still got the judges and Morgan's pushing that angle. If I do take it and miss, oh well, because the benefits of not having to take it in the event that was never going to happen outweigh the negatives of, so on and so forth. You get the point.
Exactly.
Playing again for all possibilities, even when he's in control of them. So he initially tells Keanu he's putting up Ashley, and then he tells Will he's putting up Kelly. And there's all kinds of stuff. He does quickly move away from the Catherine nomination. He has that conversation with Catherine. She, I would say, does the bare minimum to act like she believes him, which is enough for him.
Right. And I'm really wondering, like, if because Vinny always just hopes that the worst case scenario doesn't happen for him, and it seems like every time it does. But I'm really wondering when and if a renom situation happens, like what he does, because Catherine is it's very veiled. It's very, very veiled that she still blames him for Riley's leaving. So I mean, I don't know how much he should stick his neck out to, like, keep her safe, if no matter what he does, she's coming for him. But
I mean, the problem for Catherine is she can be mad. It's even more so, like, you can look at the Lauren example as the better one, right? Lauren used the veto even though she knew Riley might go up on the block. Then Riley went home because of it. You can be mad at Lauren for that. But if you're mad at Lauren, who are you not mad at? Who do you have in the game? She's like your only person left. And so that extends slightly to Vince. She can be mad at Vince for flipping all she wants. The fact of the matter is, she's never bothered to develop relationships outside of Riley and that crew, maybe Ava, you could say. And so how does she just jump right to the other side? It's going to be tough. It's not impossible. She certainly could, but all of those people just voted against her. She's still pretty raw from it. She's been lied to. And Vince is currently the HOH who is not putting her on the block. Do I think she will be loyal to Vince? No, she was never loyal to Vince, even before he turned on her. But she's got some bigger problems to deal with. Now, what I will say is, if Vince takes out Rachel this week, that clears up one of her problems. And, maybe there's a way through there, but she does still have Mickey as a problem, who lied. And there's a whole conversation that they have. But, I think, again, there's pros and cons. I do sort of agree with the general sentiment that Vince seems to have, which is one of Mickey or Rachel should leave this week on his HOH. And as long as one of them goes, that's probably best for his game. And if he doesn't have to take a shot at both, that's probably ideal. But, you do have to worry about Catherine. I said, I think maybe during the Q&A yesterday, that nominating Catherine might be, it might have been during the update, might be the better move to win her over long term, because it puts her in an even more vulnerable position to have to, like, need your support to get through it. And and being honest with her too. Like, hey, I prioritized Morgan. You said that I was dead to you. You're mad at me. I have to nominate you. And then, I mean, it's essentially what Mickey did with Riley and Catherine. And it
True.
didn't really work, but it did temporarily work, which is kind of what he needs. And but the problem with that move is that it's then harder to ensure a shot on Rachel or Mickey lands, because Catherine on the block is too tempting for the other
Tempting.
side. So ultimately, I think it's the right call to not put her up here. Although it is very telling to those people, oh, he's not putting Catherine up. That's a problem. So it's kind of a tricky path, no matter where he decides to walk here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that makes sense.
So Keanu continues to push. Vince continues to have these one-on-ones, and he's just telling people again what they want to hear, telling this ridiculous story, and that it's just such a strange way of doing it. He's literally like telling them, this is what I plan to do, and then after more one-on-ones, he's like, okay, so I'm actually thinking maybe something else. What? It's like, you didn't have to tell them that thing in the first place.
Exactly. Oh, so good.
He does give his nominees a heads up. He tells Ava he's looking to put her on the block. And her response is basically, frankly, whatever.
It
Makes
is what
sense.
it is.
It is what it is. Oh, well. So he's like, perfect. He lets Kelly know, and she's like, oh, it's okay, Vince.
And when he's telling that story, she's just eating it up. She's like, yep, that's what they do. I'm like, Kelly, 2 and 2 together. If he is telling you this is the story, the sympathy vote, blah, 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 why is he then in the same conversation telling you you're going on the block? Make it make sense.
We're back where we started, she says.
I
forgot I nominated you before too.
Look, if Mickey goes home, cool. But I would just absolutely love if Kelly went home on a Vince HOH. I'm sorry. I kind of love that. I need it.
It was what was destined to happen week 1, and then she won that blockbuster.
Exactly. Like, it'd be like Final Destination. It'd be like righting the wrong. Like, coming back together. Like, ugh.
So it's worth talking about that while all of these one-on-ones are happening, downstairs, Ashley is already sort of doing her Ashley thing, which is just like immediately contradicting the plan. Like, I know he wants Mickey out, but like, I really feel like we should take Kelly out this week. And Morgan's just like, chill, please.
Yeah. Which I did love that we get more Morgan and Ashley moments here. They have really connected since last week, and
really have, yeah,
like reconnected, should I say? Because they were close at the
talks to her a lot, Zach.
Yeah, exactly. Like they. Why would you do that? Anyways, Morgan, like, Ashley needs this because Morgan is that person, surprisingly, who is like, bring it down, you know what I'm saying? Which is crazy because it's Morgan. But I really did like seeing them talking again.
All the time. So it's basically like they're, by the way, Ashley is correct. Like, Kelly is a bigger problem for them than Mickey is. It's just like there's plenty of time. When you are an option for nomination and or renomination, maybe we wait just a little bit, see who wins the veto. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Don't push. Don't push. Let's just
don't rock the boat.
Yeah.
But so she's talking about that. She does talk with Rachel about it as well. Rachel agrees, taking out Kelly this week is better. Something to remember is that Rachel still does not know the vitriol with which Mickey speaks her name. She has learned a bit more, but still not the full extent of how much vitriol Kelly speaks with her name. And so Kelly is a bigger problem in her mind. And I would say overall is a bigger problem in the sense that Kelly is more aligned with the quote unquote other side of the house, and is more likely to put up people like Ashley and Will next to Rachel, as opposed to Mickey, who, if she goes after Rachel, she's putting her up probably against people like, I don't know, Catherine and Kelly and Keanu,
Mhm.
So in that sense, she is correct. However, what I will also say is I think Mickey is worse for Rachel on the jury than Kelly is. Kelly will never vote for Rachel, but she has zero sway. Mickey has lost all of her sway, but will continue. Like, Mickey will try in a way that Kelly won't, and will have, I think, theoretically more success than Kelly could. Like, Mickey might not be taken seriously, but some of her arguments might in the jury house.
Exactly, and I really need people to, like, stop down and watch the feeds with, like, Mickey talking to people, because as much as we dislike her outside here, when she is, like, talking to people one-on-one, it is kind of scary how effective it is. It is so Vanessa Russo-esque. I'm like, if she actually knew the proper strategy, if Nikki knew the proper strategy of Big Brother, this game would be sewn up because she has that
Mhm.
emotional manipulation style tactic down. And if she just had a better strategic head, this would be ridiculous,
She's
honestly.
almost like Suri and Jared combined.
Yes. Yes.
she she has, not that I'm saying she's as good as Suri at this, but like, she has the
Mhm.
great ability to socially connect with people, but then in the same body, the strategic, terrible, like, arrogance that constantly undermines herself.
Yes.
And so when Suri was like winning people back over after the house flipped, and then Jared kept exposing her lies and reminding people not to believe her, the same thing is happening with Mickey, where it's like she'll make some progress on somebody, and then they'll be like, "Oh, but remember all those other things that she's done? I can't listen to her."
Yup, exactly. That is exactly what it is. Thank you so much, Taryn, because it was fascinating. I'm sitting here like, "Oh my god," like, I can see how easy it could be to get sucked into her orbit, but the fact that they already had the Mickey exposed party last week, it's much more easier for them to be like, "Wait, no, no, no. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. Don't believe it." Like
And that does mean that, like, she has the capability to start building again, because her
Yes.
biggest flaw is her arrogance, her way overconfidence. And so the
Mhm.
more that she is sort of humbled, which is still not fully happening, but if she ever gets there, she becomes potentially effective again.
Mhm.
And who knows how long that would last, but it's still dangerous. Um,
Mhm.
so Vince breaks the news to Mickey. He has to let her know that he plans to put her up, and of course she goes up, and she's like, melting pot. Uh, he says, Mickey, I'm concerned because I've heard some things, like that you had some influence over Ava's HOH, and that maybe you were considering putting me on the block when you were HOH. And I just feel like, you know, your social game is just so incredible. You're so powerful. You're so powerful in this game, Mickey, and it's making me have to consider some things. Like who do I believe? Do I put you up? Like, what? oh, man, I mean, it's a compliment, but I do have to consider this now. And you can just see Mickey's face, just like, annoyed, contemplating, scared, like all kinds of emotion flashing across her face. She's like, yeah, I kept you over Zach. I did keep you over Zach, so it would be pretty messed up for you to put me up. I mean, that would be crazy, right? Right, Vinny? You think so? She's like, yes, Zach, Vinny. I have stuck my neck out for you so many times, and we're in an alliance, and like, I don't know where you're getting this information, but obviously you can't trust these people. Like, remember, there was that time that you told me that Rachel made a deal with you to keep you if you would target me. He's like, wait, what? Like, Vinny, you told me about this, that when you were on the block, that like Rachel made a deal with you to put me up. He's like, I made a deal with Rachel? He's like, yes, Vince. Who told you that? You did. We were standing in a thing. You told me that Rachel came up to you to make a deal that to keep you in the game, you would target me. Oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember that now. Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, that because Rachel wanted you out. And Mickey's like, yeah, and I'm saying I believed you. I believed that was true. It was true, right? Yes, of course it is. I obviously wouldn't have just made that up. I'm not pressing the trapdoor button. What do you mean?
What are you talking about? Hilarious. Can't even remember his own lies. Love it.
She keeps pressing about like, who's giving you this information? Who's telling you that I influenced Ava? Because they are lying. And the answer is Morgan, Ava, everyone. But Ava in particular is the primary source here. But he doesn't want to name names. So he says, she's like, was it Ashley? No, it's Rachel. No, it wasn't Rachel. I haven't even talked to Ashley. Rachel didn't even say anything about this. And it's not Will. And it's like, Catherine? It's not Catherine. It's not. I can't give you names. She's like, well, you told me it's nobody in the house, apparently. It's like, there's a couple names off that list. And he keeps going, like, I don't know. I just heard these things, and like, you almost put me up. And she's like, I didn't almost put you up. No, that's not true. Rachel was the one that wanted you to go up. I risked a lot to not put you up on the block. If you put me up now, America will think I'm the dumbest person ever. You can't do that. It doesn't make any sense. And he's like, oh.
Like, well, maybe you should have rethought that time where you put Jimmy up instead of, Vinny, the person you had doubts about. But whatever.
Again, Ava has told him straight up, was I manipulated? Maybe. And Morgan has said, I had to cry to her to get her to avoid putting you up on the block. So he does not believe her here. So he does what any HOH should do, which is, okay, Mickey, if it's not you, who do you think I should target? And she does not bite. She says, well, I feel like I need to be careful about naming names now because apparently I'm influencing people a bunch. And they'd go through that a couple of times. And she's like, Vinny, please, you got to tell me, like, what's going on? Who told you this? Like, I really hope you're not going to do this. And he goes, shit. Oh, I have to talk to Kelly too. Oh, and I haven't even talked to Morgan yet.
Yeah.
Oh. She's like, all right, I guess I'll let you talk to them.
You're dismissed. Like, Vinny is so unintentionally funny. It's hilarious.
So she runs off and starts panicking, of course, and he finishes up his conversations. He goes back down to Keanu, and he's like, "So Keanu, what I'm thinking is, if I put up Kelly, then I can choose. I have an option. I can do Ashley or Rachel for a renom." And Keanu's like, "No, no, you can't. You can't do it. We can't miss our shot. If they're not both up on the block, then we have a problem." And he's like, I don't know. I just feel like maybe I've got a plan. I've got a plan. So what's the plan? Tell me the plan. Um. Oh, is that people are coming? Oh, hold on.
This is so spot on. So spot on.
And then he goes back. He's like, "Yeah, so I'm just thinking we should have options." So yeah, that's what I'm. And he walks. He just walks away.
And Keanu's just like, okay.
And I forgot. He was standing. This is like in the living room. That's why people are walking by. He's like, "So are they going to let me in or what? I guess they're not going to let me in to the diary room." And then he walks away. He walks away to go to talk to Lauren. Hey, Lauren. So yeah, about the Ashley nom. I was thinking maybe if I leave her off the block, then I have options of who to put up as the replacement. And Lauren's just like, as a replacement. Does that make Oh, you're leaving. Bye.
Because he does not have time for her to formulate her thoughts to say it. She's so annoying.
So that's how he broke the news to his allies.
What could they do?
And of course, when he talked to Morgan as well, he was like, "Yeah, so I'm thinking now, like Ava, Mickey, and Kelly." And she was like, and he was like, I told you that's what I was gonna do, right? Like I didn't. Sorry, this conversation happened after the noms. Where he's like, I gave you a fair enough warning. She's like, well, I feel like we talked about you not doing Ava, but he's like, oh yeah, but then I talked to her, and she was like, oh, if you put me up, you put me up. So I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
So all this happens, of course. We get to the nominations, and as expected now, Vince nominates Ava, Mickey, and Kelly. He does not nominate Rachel. He does not nominate Ashley. And these are our nominees.
Yeah. And I think like everything aside, I think these are actually really good nominees for Vince because he didn't nominate anybody in the judges, and Kelly volunteers every 2 seconds. You know what I'm saying? So he's not sacrificing anybody on Catherine and Lauren's side that they feel are important. So honestly, I think for the middle road that he's trying to push here, I think these are like perfect nominations. Mickey is his true target, like we said. If Rachel ends up coming being a replacement nom and going out, this is actually really good nominations for Vince, I think.
Yes, he has maximized his options theoretically,
Exactly.
and so from here on out for the rest of the day, there's so much that's dependent on the veto, and very few conversations that actually matter when it comes to what's going to happen. Because
Exactly.
I think I can tell you what's going to happen, which is it all depends on who wins the veto. If somebody wins the veto who plans to use it, meaning a nominee themselves or somebody like Keanu or whatever, they will use the veto, and either Rachel or Ashley will go on the block, depending on how Vince is feeling. What's the safest play in that moment? Either way, one of them will go on the block, and then that person will be potentially targeted depending on what Vince thinks is the safest play in the moment. But what I will say is that Ashley or Rachel on the block, if Vince wants them gone, they will likely leave. You can very kind of easily see the votes here. There are 7 people not on the block, but there will be 8 votes because one of the people on the block will come off the block. If, say, somebody like Rachel is on the block against Mickey or even, let's say, Kelly, there are 4 easy votes for Rachel to leave: Lauren, Catherine, Keanu, and Kelly or Mickey. Plus the tiebreaker of Vince. Rachel's gone. Ashley's gone. Whoever Vince wants, theoretically, is gone. However, of course, that would have to be going against what Morgan is pushing for. I personally don't think that's a huge problem. I think that Morgan is more than enough loyal to Vince that she will accept the direction that he wants to go. He just needs to push for it hard enough, which is, again, always the question with Vince. Will he push hard enough to do what he actually wants to do? Because as of right now, Morgan is pushing him harder than he's pushing Morgan. And that's not good for him because he's going along with Morgan's game more than he is going along with his own. And Morgan's game is very polar opposite to his. She wants to work with all of the people that are coming for him, or that don't really trust him at the very least. And that he would be at the very bottom of the hierarchy for. And he knows this, but he's Vince. And so he has trouble sort of like actually arguing back and convincing her of anything else, which is, again, such a strange way to sort of play. But it's just trying to like Vince is not somebody who controls the house. He's somebody that just like rides the waves and tries to stay on top of it as much as possible.
If only there was a word for that.
Yeah, like he's like maybe got something on him,
like something that kind of like levitates.
Yeah, that helps you stay up. There's a word for it. Floats.
There we go. There you go. Perfect, Taran. Perfect.
So that's I think where we are. And so like every conversation he has is just him telling Morgan, Will, Ashley, Rachel, whoever, we're locked in, don't worry about it. Telling Catherine, Kelly, Keanu, Mickey, I'm definitely going to backdoor Rachel, don't worry about it. Please use the veto. And then to the other people, oh no, I don't want the veto to be used. And he's just going to wait and see what happens. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens.
Exactly. It's very that. And you know, again, watching most of the conversations yesterday and this morning was just kind of like just to get a clue as to where everybody else's heads are at, you know. So it'll all depend on this. I'm scared about the veto draw itself. Like that's how hingy all of this is. It's like I need to know who's getting drawn first. Then we got to get to the veto. Like all of this is hinging on the veto, which is crazy. It's gonna be a crazy Saturday.
Yeah, it really does just come down to that. Nobody's changing their minds right now. Keanu is dead set on wanting to use the veto on Kelly, so that Rachel can be backdoored. Catherine, Lauren are both set on using the veto so that Rachel can be backdoored. Obviously, Ava, Mickey, Kelly would take themselves off the block, which would likely lead to Rachel or maybe Ashley going up on the block. The reason why I say maybe Ashley is that I do think there's a part of Vince that feels like taking Ashley out of the game is better for him than Rachel, because Morgan really seems to want to work with Ashley even more so than Rachel. And removing that option from Morgan could be good. And Rachel is such a big target for everyone else that like other people will target Rachel. Nobody else is going to target Ashley. And that's been logic in the house for quite a while. Like all season long, people have talked about like, well, who's going to target? I can't target. That's why he feels like Mickey is such a strong target for him, because he worries that nobody else will take the shot at Mickey. And so there is a chance, I think, that he decides to go with Ashley up there instead. There's going to be a push to get Catherine up on the block, led by Morgan. They would like to go even further and hope that Keanu gets on the block. But again, this is all kind of moot until we know exactly what's happening with the veto. Vince did talk with Kelly about again, sort of explaining his nominations and being like, yeah, so by leaving Rachel off the block, now if she uses the veto on Mickey, she'll expose her game to everyone and be done. And Kelly's like, expose her game to who? It's like, like everyone in that, like, she's like, everyone already knows, dude. She just put up Riley.
It really, the logic does not make sense. But I do think that, not just to be glazing Rachel, but this house is kind of running out of big targets. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I am a little worried for Vince that if Rachel goes this week, that he does go up the pecking order. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. This house is so unpredictable.
I mean, normally what I would say is if you have the relationships that Vince has, you just want to take your ops out of the house. And Rachel is his biggest op. Rachel is the person who is calling him out more than anyone. And without Rachel there, the house could turn into a melting pot of Vince's desire, right?
Okay.
But he's already done so much damage to his own game, and he's such a messy player to begin with that I'm not actually sure that he has the capability to run a house like that. For as much as he's a floater, he is not the Andy RHAP floater, because he's like, Andy was decisive, he was cutthroat, he was forceful. He played that game in order to get into positions to then make these big pushes, and that has not been Vince's game thus far. Vince has seen the block many more times than Andy did already. Because that was the thing too. Like, once Andy took out Amanda, the game just flopped into his lap at that point. There was nobody left to even
good point.
To even come close to fighting him. But again, that's not really Vince's game either. So we'll see. I mean, like I said, I do think that that one of Mickey or Rachel leaving, either one could be good for his game. I actually don't think that Ashley leaving is that great for him.
That makes sense.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
He does have another long conversation with Mickey, and it's basically the same conversation she had with Rachel, just with Vince, where she cries and she says, "I was never coming for you. I stuck my neck out for you." And this one it was particularly funny to me because Mickey and Vince are the two biggest liars in the house, like by a huge margin, right? Mickey's lying through her teeth. But this time, instead of like it being Rachel being like, "Oh wow," it's Vinny who like meets her lies with more of his own. Like, "Oh, Mickey, oh, I completely understand because I relate to this. When people called me a mastermind and people thought I was having too many one-on-ones, I was like, what do you mean? I just have friends in this house and I can see the same thing is happening to you, Mickey." And she's like, "Yes, exactly. I wasn't doing anything. Exactly. I don't do anything either."
Yes, and she was pulling on all of the strings. She's like, "You're a super fan. That's why I wanted to keep you. I was told that I was told to keep you over Zach because of that." And she was going back and forth. I'm trying to think of all the stuff. It was just crazy to see them work each other because like Mickey in those tears, I was like, "Oh my God." And then Vince pretending like they're moving him was just so good. But even later, Vince was like, she almost had me convinced to use the veto on her.
Yeah, he says like, "Of course we're gonna have the veto used. We'll get Rachel on that block." Even I mean, now that I've heard of all of this stuff, I might consider using the veto on you at this point. And so another thing that happened is that we didn't see this, but after the veto or after the nomination ceremony, Mickey went off on Morgan apparently. I assume believing that she might have had something to do with the nominations. Vinny denies this, and Mickey says, "Oh well, I owe Morgan an apology." So she goes and she gives Morgan an apology, and then afterward, Morgan checks back in with Vince and is like, "Yeah, Mickey just tried to sell me a load of nonsense again." And Vince is like, "Oh, I was kind of believing her," and she's like, "Vinny."
So again, so this is what I was talking about. This apology that Mickey does to Morgan, it was again, I was like, wow, she is tugging. She's crying, she's laying out the game. And it's so funny to me because again, if she had better strategic knowledge, Mickey wouldn't be in this position because she's telling Morgan, like, Morgan, the only reason I didn't put up Vince on my HOH was because you were crying. I told you I had apprehensions about working with Vince, but I kept him off the block. I could have gotten rid of Vince several times, and I don't feel like it's reciprocated that you're protecting me from him. And I'm like, these are all really good points, but it's like, Mickey, that was your fault. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had those apprehensions about working with Vinny and Zach, and she was telling Morgan, like, I thought you were putting Vinny and Zach's games over ours. And you saw that and you bought in. Like, that was the problem. Mickey got rid of Jimmy, and Jimmy has since said that Jimmy and Mickey were closer. When in the Jimmy, Mickey, Morgan alliance, Jimmy was closer to Mickey. And Mickey, like I said weeks ago, let Morgan influence her HOH to get rid of Jimmy. But Mickey, you got to take some responsibility for that because you're the one who put Jimmy on the block. You're the one who bought into the melting pot, and you bought into being with Morgan and those boys. And because you did that, you are now in this position because the people you were closest with that would have protected you are now closer to Morgan, and Morgan has the upper hand on you. You gave that to her. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just thought that was such an interesting conversation because Mickey sees it, but she sees it and she's blaming Morgan for it.
Exactly. It's the same is similar issue that I had with her when she was trying to convince Rachel last week, where it's like she is, I would say, a good emotional liar. She's very good at faking emotions, but she's not a very good tactical liar, which is similar to how she plays the game, right? Because she can't help but express her true feelings even in her lies. So it's like Morgan, for instance, Morgan knows, she has heard that Mickey's been complaining about how Morgan is stealing her people. Like Morgan is spending too much time with Will and Ashley, and those are her people, and Morgan's trying to steal them from her. And in the conversation with Morgan, when she's crying, like, and I feel like we've like gone off on the wrong page, and like she can't help but throw in a dig of like, and you never even talked to Will and Ashley before. And Morgan's like, what do you mean? I talked to them. She's like, no, you never talked to them until recently. And she's not accusing Morgan of stealing them from her, but she's exposing her true sort of feelings, her true perspective on this in this. And so Morgan's able to see right through,
Yep.
I get what you're trying to say here, but you're holding back because you're lying to me. And it's just like, it's so transparent in that way.
Exactly.
So it's not effective.
Right. Exactly. It's like you mix the truth with the lie, but then if we see the lie, we disregard the truth. And the whole, like, we even know now because we didn't know this before, but Mickey was the driving force to get Zach on the block. Ava wanted to put Ashley on the block, and we didn't know that until we saw the episode. So her to constantly be like, no, I didn't have power over that. It's a lie. Everybody knows it's a lie. It's been out there. So it just makes everything else disregard. It makes you disregard everything else. And can I just also point out that during the Vince Zach week where they had to choose between the two of them, I remember I came on here, I was like, I thought that they were gonna keep Zach. And then all of a sudden it was like, no, they're getting rid of Zach and they're keeping Vinny. And wasn't Mickey the driving force of of making Zach leave after he did the
Yes.
10K veto?
Mickey felt that Rachel would target Vince and not Zach, and that's why she kept Vince.
So again, Mickey, you chose wrong. This is the bad lie.
She chose wrong because she was worried about Rachel when she never even had to be worried about Rachel in the first place. She just constantly
go.
tanks her own game for no reason.
Yeah.
So, in the meantime, Ava has a long conversation with Lauren. They talk about potentially winning the veto or having Lauren play in the veto. Ava does tell Will that she's thinking about picking Rachel because she's worried about Rachel being a target. And so giving Rachel the ability to potentially win the veto might be useful. Morgan does talk to Ashley and Will about how Vince is like too strongly considering the idea of maybe Rachel, and that she's trying to convince him not to. And so Ashley comes to the conclusion, I don't think we can trust Vince on this replacement nominee. I think I'm going to have to win this veto. I didn't want to because Mickey's going to expect me to use it on her. But if I'm a potential replacement nominee, which she is, I'm going to need to win this veto. And this is the Ashley we know and love, just like seeing exactly what needs to be done, which is unfortunately a low bar in this house. But yes, you do need to make sure you win this veto.
Exactly. If I like how you have this set up. Anybody on the lower, like Rachel and them people, they should be trying to win the veto and keep the noms the same.
Yes.
Everybody on the top trying to win the veto and take Kelly off and get Rachel up there.
So that's going on there. Keanu just continues. He does have a long conversation with Rachel where he, I would say at this point, pretends to be with her still, but is heavily pushing Vince again. Can I use the veto on Kelly? Vince says, of course. And then Vince a little bit later is like, we can then make a decision in the moment about whether or not you use it. So I think Vince would try to talk it through with Keanu, but Keanu is, I think, just flat out going to use it if he wins it. Good chance Kelly does choose him to play in the veto as well. So that's something to watch out for here. You know, that's really a lot of what's going on through the day. There's a lot of fighting for Vince's time. He's very clearly playing all sides and everyone sees it. They're like, wow, he didn't put up Catherine. Now he's talking with Catherine a bunch. Will walked in on Catherine and Lauren having a conversation up in the HOH room. And he was like, I know what they were up to. And so, and then Keanu's just constantly bugging Vince for like, you got to put up Rachel. And Morgan's like, and then Lauren's over there and Morgan's like, why are you constantly talking with Lauren? And Vince is trying to get Morgan and Lauren to work together. But when I say he's trying to get them to work together, what I mean is that he said out loud once that he would like them to work together, and otherwise just allows for Morgan to basically trash talk Lauren at all times.
Every single time. I'm like, Morgan, come on.
I don't want her on the jury. She's too indecisive. Think about what it'll do to the live show.
That is funny. Like Morgan keeps trashing Lauren to Vinny, and I'm like, y'all, she used the veto on that man. Like, come on, man. Like, Morgan.
Her argument is it should have been a no-brainer. I would have used that veto on you in a heartbeat. Why was it such a hard decision for her?
True. That is true.
And so she's ranting about Lauren. And then on the other side, Keanu steps in and Morgan's like, oh, freaking Keanu, always interrupting. And then Keanu has this conversation with Vince and Keanu's like, man, Lauren's really annoying me. She's really...
Everybody's fed up. They're fed up with the slow talking from Lauren and the indecision.
Now, big topic in the late night section of the feeds. Morgan spends even more time with Vinny and is kind of like, would it be weird if I wore your hoodie? And then they share some very long and a little bit intimate hugs that the internet was like, oh, Is there
Mhm.
another crush developing?
Oh
And
god.
like, is Morgan starting to crush? Is this starting to happen a little bit? Worth noting, weeks ago, Vince said to the cameras he does
Mhm.
intentionally flirt with Morgan and that
Mhm.
he apparently has permission from his girlfriend to do so.
Yep. Yep. He said that his girlfriend, as long as she's fine, if she's cool, I'm cool with it. It's Big Brother. I
This
get
is
it.
something that existed prior to this, that it was even talked
Mhm.
about by Mickey and Rachel. They had a whole conversation about, like, wait, we didn't even realize he had a girlfriend because
Yeah.
I thought they were like becoming a thing. And he admitted to flirting with her then.
Mhm.
And now that, Zach is gone and, they're bonding even more, the flirtation is picking up again, I would say. And
Mhm.
how much it's working is another story, but something to potentially take note of here.
Yeah, exactly. It's nothing crazy. We're fine, everybody. Calm down. It's fine. It's okay. They're friends who do long hugs. Maybe they just like physical touch. It's fine. Calm down.
All right. That's really most of the day here. Again, there's talk about, can we get Keanu on the block? Can we get Catherine on the block?
Yeah.
There's talk about the veto, but it's all really just coming down to what happens in the veto, which will happen today. So we'll have much more information for you in terms of, because basically the issue with today's update is that um, anything can happen with the veto. And then
Yes.
based on what happens, I usually am here like, based on what happens with the veto, this is what's likely going to happen. But in this instance, it's like anything can happen with the veto. And then once the veto result happens, now we have to open up the next can of worms, which is anything can
Mhm.
happen with the replacement nominee, or anything can happen with wherever we go from here. Theoretically, if the veto is not used, it should be what will likely happen is a bit of a war between, can we take out Kelly, or is it default Mickey? And there will be probably a push to take out Kelly, but then there'll be a push back to take out Mickey, and so on and so forth. If the veto is won and plans to be used, then it is who's the replacement nominee. There's going to be a push for Catherine or Keanu, and then a push from the other side for Ashley or Rachel. And then depending on which side wins that battle, it'll be which one, Catherine or Keanu, or which one, Ashley or Rachel. And then once that happens, it's going to be, can we flip whoever we need to flip in order to get the votes? And is Vince going to break the tie? And so on and so forth. So there's a lot of stuff we got to get through this week.
Yeah, exactly. We are updating like how Vince plays the game.
Yeah.
One step at a time,
Well,
one
if we
inevitability
were
at a
doing
time.
that, I think then every 10 minutes we would be like, we would switch. It would be like, okay, so what's happening is Vince is planning to backdoor Rachel. And then 10 minutes later, it'd be like, okay, now the real plan is that Vince is planning to backdoor Catherine.
Yeah. And then after that, okay, the real plan.
Uh-huh. All right. Anything else that you wanted to bring up, Mari?
Nothing much. Mickey and Catherine did have a talk as well,
It
which
did.
was just Mickey, what? Like, I don't know what she was trying to accomplish in that talk with Catherine.
Yeah,
Like,
long conversation. Catherine was essentially like, why did you lie and say you were going to keep Riley? She's like, I had to. I had to.
yeah. And it was an even worse lie because we all thought she was literally keeping Riley last week
Mhm.
because she just kept telling them she would. So I was shocked when I saw that she voted to evict him. And it's even more shocking coming from her. Like I can see Catherine being more mad at her because Mickey was the third option on the block. So it's not like everybody else who, they didn't know who was going to be off the block and they needed to figure out what the variables was. If Mickey was in the position to be voting, she knew exactly who her options were going to be. It was always going to be either Morgan or Riley. So her saying that she was going to vote to keep Riley if she wasn't was just a flat out lie. Like you know what I'm saying? Like she was the only
Mhm.
person in the house who knew what her options would have been if she needed to vote.
Yeah. There also was, I forgot, there's a funny moment after the nomination ceremony. Of course, It was basically the same exact scene as last week with Mickey in the wine room, like crying, venting to Ashley and Will, like, "Oh, I can't believe he's doing this," and like, "Oh, Morgan," and they're like, "Yeah," and then she leaves the room, and Will's like, and then they come out into the bathroom and they start talking with a few different people, and they're like, "Oh my god, she came in and was like, oh my god, Morgan," and then as Ashley is like, she was like, "Ah, what did Morgan do?" Mickey walks into the bathroom and they go dead silent, and Mickey's just like, "So," you're like, "Yeah, anyway."
Yeah. The
And then
vibes.
later, Ashley talks to Mickey again in the wine room. And Mickey's like, "I don't know why he would do this." She's talking like she's Keanu. He doesn't even have the votes. I'm gonna come for him next week. Everyone's gonna come for him next week. Everyone's gonna be so mad at him for putting me on the block. And Ashley's like, "Yeah, totally. I mean, against Ava, you go home." She's like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "Well, I mean, against Ava, you don't have the votes, obviously." Mickey's like, "What?" I have the votes against Ava, don't I? What do you mean? She's like, "Well, me, Will, Rachel, maybe, but that's I know, like uh, that's about it, right?" And Mickey's like, "Well, but maybe Catherine too." She's like, "Okay, sure, Catherine. That's still only a tie. Vince, if he puts you up, if he wants you gone, he can break the tie." Uh,
Ashley can never resist herself. She cannot resist. She cannot resist. Just
all right. Anything else, Mari?
No, that's it, that's it. It was, an eventful night in a sense, but not eventful.
Mhm. So
Yeah,
stay tuned. Veto draw is going to be very important here. The last 2 weeks, one of the two people drawn to play the veto, who were not the nominees or the HOH, ended up winning. And those both had big results for the end result of the week.
exactly.
That's kind of like the best hope theoretically for the veto to not be used, but it
Mhm,
requires specific people to be playing, many of which are not going to be chosen if they are picked for the veto. So, I mean, the
mhm.
odds of the veto being used, I would say, are fairly high. I haven't done the math, but I would assume something like 75% plus, maybe.
Yeah.
Uh, but that could change depending on how the veto draw. Once the veto draw happens, that number might go down slightly, but not by that much.
Mhm,
And then we will have to wait to see what happens with the veto competition. So stay tuned for that. I will be back tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, to update you on all of that. In the meantime, find me over on YouTube and Twitch.
mhm.
I'll be playing some Blood on the Clock Tower today. If you want to check that out, you can also, of course, buy my book, Behind the Mirror. And there it is. It's AaronArmstrong.com to pre-order, and all of that good stuff. Mari, what you got going on?
Over on Crime Scene, me and Sarah Carradine, bring you true crime, uh, reviews, documentaries, docuseries. It's always fun over there. So you can go to crimescenepod.com. That's crime, SEEN pod.com. And of course, over on Recap Kickback, me and Chappelle, we talk about whatever we want to. It's such fun over there. You can go to recapkickback.com in order to subscribe.
All right. Well, that's what we have for you then. Thank you so much for joining me here today, and I will see all of you next time.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.